Good evening, everybody. Chris and Tiffany here with High Seas Cruising, and welcome to this week's live episode. You look lost already. You doing okay over there?
Yeah.
But we are here to talk about all things cruising, latest stuff going on in cruising, cruise news, upcoming trips, cruise questions, cruise answers, and just general cruise conversation, wherever crazy place tonight's live might lead us.
Glistens is here. Hello, my fellow captains. I'm ready for the stream. He has been waiting for 28 minutes.
That is a long time to wait. That is more patience than I have on most days.
Yes. Bob is here. Hello. James is here. Hello.
Welcome, James. Welcome, Bob. Welcome, Glistens. Excuse me. Good to have everybody here today. I sprayed a lot of bug spray today. We're fighting the joys and wonders of flea season. And of course, that means we got to spray extra bug spray and all that kind of stuff. Dogs in the country means bugs.
Yes.
And so we were fighting the bug fight today.
Yes, we were.
I sprayed Tiffany. She's still here.
Thanks.
Pesty forever?
Yes.
Okay.
James says, hello, Chris and Tiffany and all high seas cruisers.
Ooh, sorry. All right, so we are here. Well, what's been going on cruising this week? Tell some cruising stories.
Well, you were just telling me on Royal that a glass pane fell.
It did. Right on the Lido deck.
Yes, I did see a video of that. And luckily, a very attentive crew member got a passenger out of the way.
Yeah, he got an award for that.
Very good.
Yeah, I completely agree because no one wants a big pane of glass to fall on their head.
No, and that was a pretty big pane of glass.
Yeah, it was.
And it shattered when it hit the deck.
Yeah, it was a lot of glass, but yeah, thankfully nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
Nobody got injured. So really, really good news.
Yes.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of what else has been going on.
Rick posted about the
updates
on the new terminal. That's the word
coming up in Galveston.
Yes.
Yep, that's going to be done by November.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to be one of the very first cruise passengers to ever go through that new terminal.
Are we going through that terminal?
Yes.
Okay.
On the very first ship that's going to sail out of there. You're going to see it first.
There you go.
That's what I told you. You got a lot of firsts coming for that particular sailing.
Yes.
You're going to be the very first group to go through that terminal to ever use it.
So we're not waiting to get on the ship that time.
I didn't say you were going to be first in the group. I said you were going to be a part of the first group.
Yes.
The first sailing.
Yes.
The first 5,000, however many people that cruise ship particularly holds. But that's going to be during your MSC cruise. So you're going to get a new terminal on a cruise line you've never sailed before, a ship you've never sailed before, obviously. It's going to be like a whole brand new experience.
Yes.
So.
Ray's here. Hello from Nag's Head.
Welcome, Ray.
Yes.
I'm lost tonight for a little bit. My brain is like fuzzy.
We actually got to sleep in this morning. That was the first. And then all the chemicals and
yes.
Yeah.
It fried my brain and
just
made me go sideways
today. So James said, woohoo, 62 days before I'm in Galveston and 66 days for Harmony.
Absolutely. We are counting that down. I actually thought I missed the check-in. I had it in my head. The check-in was for June 2nd for that cruise. And I was like, oh my God, I missed it. Went online and realized it's July 2nd.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm excited. Super, super excited. I'm still waiting to hear if we got any of those bids we put in for our Royal Up.
Yeah.
Because we got the Royal Up notification, which is where you can bid on upgrade cabins on the ship. And I put in extremely stupidly low bids. Not going to lie. I expect to win none of them. Because they were offering us like, they offered us to bid on a Sky Suite, Junior Suite, things like that. And I put such ridiculously low numbers that I would be way more surprised if we get anything than if we don't. But the nice thing is we still have our balcony, whether or not we win or not. So it's kind of like a fun game. And,
what will it be?
What will our cabin be? Well, we're already staying in a guaranteed neighborhood balcony cabin. So we don't even know where our cabin is going to be located on the ship yet, other than it's going to look over the neighborhood. We will do the guaranteed cabins because, one, you get them at a less price. Two, I don't hear half the stuff that goes on half the time anyway, so a little bit of noise isn't going to bother me. And three, it's our version of the casino. Where are we going to be on the ship? Let's roll those dice. Yes. Sometimes you come up with sevens, and sometimes you get snake eyes. So
Bob says we are sailing on January 11th on Seascape, so I will need a report from y'all.
You know us. Gonna be filming, gonna be talking about it, absolutely, because we're super excited and want to share our perspective of MSC. It's one of those ones where we've read a lot of reviews, heard a lot of positive, heard a lot of negatives, but we really want to go out and get our opinion of it. I'd like to think that we look at them from a we love cruising standpoint. We're not looking for negatives.
Yeah, I think we do.
We're not looking for negatives. So, but yeah, Harmony had come up first. I am super excited about Harmony.
Yes.
I like sailing Royal Caribbean. I think you're going to like that class of ship, and then you're going to have lots of things to eat.
I think it's going to be funny because you have to wear pants.
What?
Wonderland. I'm sure you have to wear pants to Wonderland.
So what I'm hearing is I will just buy you dinner in Wonderland, and I'll watch from outside.
James says yes. I got them too, but I like my cabin location, so did not want to take a chance to be stuck in a bad cabin.
That's for us. That's half the fun, though.
Yeah.
If you look at it, I guess from the way I look at it, if I get a really bad cabin, it's going to be a really funny video versus getting that perfect cabin. And it's like, cool cabin.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot funnier. We can be like, oh my God, look where they put us. We are in the engine room. Look, it's right there. Something crazy like that.
Nellie said, hi, all. Someone upgraded to Grand Suite for $343. I called it was $3,000. So Ocean View balcony, it stays on our sailings on Harmony.
I bet I put in for about that amount. It was a little more than that I put in for that Grand Suite. I don't think it was us, though. That would be insane, wouldn't it?
If you paid $3,000 for
no,
yeah,
no, that's they put in for the upgrade for $343.
Oh,
that would be insane to get it for that price. That's what I said. I don't expect to get it, but good God, you never know what Royal Caribbean will do. Remember, we've done it before. We've done the Royal up on almost every single one. Other than one cruise, we've won. We've gotten the upgrade room, and we never bid anything good. We always bid like the bare minimums just to even put a bid in just for fun. We've gotten it, 80-85% of the time?
Yeah.
So it would be really, really funny if we were to actually get it.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, we're on Harmony of the Seas. We're in a Sky Suite. No clue how that happened. You just will see us in the room like this.
Chica's here. She said, hola, I am finally here. Did you guys miss me? Of course we did. Bob said, love the surprise of a guarantee.
I do too. Sometimes I do too. I think it puts that extra into a cruise sometimes. It's good to pick your own room when you know exactly what you want and exactly what you're looking for and where you want to be. But sometimes when you really have no preference going into a cruise, into a ship, it's fun just to roll the dice.
Nellie said, sorry, there was a glitch and the person called and they upgraded for $343. I called it, was fixed in system to $3,000.
Well, like I said, you never know. You catch a Royal up on a weird price sometimes. If it hits just right, and you never know. You got 1,000 people bidding on it, and if 999 of them are like, I can't afford that, and they pass it, and you're the one person that bid some low, crazy amount, you could win.
Yeah. And I did miss a Texas Cruiser joined us, but he's driving right now. So please be careful.
Yes. So that's been going on this week. So we'll see what goes on with that. I'm excited, looking forward to it. But we have 18 days before we leave on our land cruise. We head for Tennessee in the Great Smoky Mountains.
I think we need an extra day just for all the food we want to try.
That's true. We've been sharing TikTok videos of everything going on in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge in that area, as far as places to go, places to eat, things to try and do. And between us and the kids, we've realized that we may not have enough time there to even eat half of the stuff we want to eat and do and visit and see. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a pretty jam-packed trip by the time it's all said and done. Because I know me. Be like, oh, you guys want to just kind of relax for 2 or 3 hours? Well, I'm going to go do this, and this while you guys are relaxing. And I'll pretty much be going from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep. So, but it's still going to be a good trip. Not really looking forward to the 16-hour drive, but that's a very small price to pay. So
it'll be all right. Nellie said, on Freedom, we upgraded from interior promenade to deck 2 ocean view. I don't know which I'd rather have. Deck 2 is cozy. Sheikah said, I bid $200 on Princess for mini suite and I got it. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, see? Well, that one time we called Princess, we had a balcony, and I thought Princess did us wrong that cruise. But, you know, it was on the Discovery Princess. We had a balcony.
That was our Alaskan cruise.
Moved to a mini suite and got a refund. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It actually was cheaper to go to a mini suite than it was to stay in our balcony. That particular cruise was like $80 difference, something crazy like that.
Yeah, because I think originally we had picked a balcony and then they were moving us to a different room
that we didn't like.
That it was smaller and it wasn't, I think they wanted to charge us more for it. I think is what it was. They moved us to a different room that we didn't pick. It was smaller and they wanted us to pay more. So.
No. So, okay, we're up here with James. So, yeah, that's awesome to hear. Yeah, we've seen a lot of videos on Gatlinburg. It looks like it's going to be a total blast. Tons of stuff to do. Really looking forward to it and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's going to be fun to watch the grandbabies' faces and stuff like that. But here's my real question, James. Since you've been there many, many times, every time we watch videos about Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, every other video has bears standing in town, bears getting in your car, bears walking down the street, bears in the candy store. I'm curious, is there just a lot of videos of bears, or is there really that many bears? I mean, is this a real concern that I'm afraid my youngest granddaughter, who I'm going to figure out how to put this, she is a unique individual. She lives her life by her own set of important things. And we're seriously worried that she's going to try to pet a bear.
Can I pet that dog?
Yeah, we're really concerned that she's going to think it's okay to go and pet a bear because that's what something she would do. And so I really want to know, are there many bears walking around as these videos make me think? It's kind of like cruise videos. You know, if you watch a couple of our videos, it seems like they're fighting on every single cruise ship, every single cruise. And we know that's not true.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking the bears has got to be the same thing. That occasionally you see a bear, the right time of year you see a bear. There's really not 50 bears in town all day long. You know what I mean? Well,
I have a coworker that's in Tennessee, and they were cooking dinner, and a bear climbed into the back of their truck. And they took pictures, and you see a cub under the truck, and you see a bear in the back of the truck. They were all inside cooking dinner. So I'm really starting to wonder.
Well, and Ray says there was bears. It just seems like there's a lot of bears.
Nellie says, for some reason, I told Haley I thought you were in Tennessee. I didn't think there was a live tonight. Nope, 2 more weeks.
Yeah, so the week of 4th of July. We're going to do the live on the last week in June. And I forget the date. And then the first week in July, there won't be a live because we'll be in Tennessee.
Mhm.
We leave the 30th of June is when we head up there, and we don't get back till the 6th.
Attila says driving now, going offline. See you later.
Be safe, be careful.
Attila said, sadly, I'm not driving to a cruise port. That is sad.
That's
very sad. And then Ray said, Dolly World. We were talking about going to Dolly World, but with that being a holiday week, and with the littles, I think it's going to be too crowded and too hot.
Yeah, there's some question on that. It is going to be 4th of July week. Which of course means it's probably going to. We have to skip a few things due to the number of people there. The kids aren't going to do really well if it's super, super hot and super, super crowded. It's going to make for unhappy little ones. And so Dollywood's kind of one of those ones where it's like, is this going to be good or it's going to be bad? But of course, at the same time, we have a Six Flags here over in San Antonio. And you would think that 4th of July, Six Flags is really crowded. But that's normally a day that they recommend you can go, and it's one of the least crowded days in the park is 4th of July.
Yeah.
So would Dollywood be the same? I don't know.
Sheikah said, that is why I am allergic to camping. I live in the country and get all the wildlife.
We do too, and we got tons of wildlife. We don't have bears, though.
No.
We have deer, we have possums, we have raccoons and snakes, but not bears. That's a whole different breed of wildlife.
James says, I would say the population of the bear in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge is a lot, but only a small amount really get into town.
Well, that's good. Maybe we won't see as many bears as I think we're going to see. Of course, the Airbnb is not in town. It's further out.
Yeah. That's okay.
But I have learned from watching the videos, we never, ever leave any type of food whatsoever in the vehicle, and you lock your doors. Because apparently bears can unlock your doors and get in your car.
Not unlock them. They can open the door.
Oh, yeah. Open the door and get right on in, especially if you have food in there. Then you wake up in the morning and the inside of your vehicle's tore up. Bears eat your food, crapped in the passenger seat, which you wouldn't like. That's yours. And...
that would all of a sudden be your seat because I would drive. Nellie said July 31st Mariner 4-night tease until August.
Ooh, that sounds fun too.
Yes. Sheikah says drive safe, Attila. She also said we have bears, elk, deer, bobcats, and everything else.
Okay, yeah. So you got way more stuff than we got going on. We have no bears, no elk.
We have deer. There are bobcat sightings.
Yeah, we do have bobcats and, of course, deer. We got plenty of those.
Mm-hmm.
They just wander around the yard and eat Tiffany's plants.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's been going on. Now, of course, before we get too far off, we have the weekly. I think this ought to become a regular weekly segment here where we talk about the lies that are spread about cruising on the internet. So, just to clear up some rumors that apparently are floating out there. Guy's Burgers is not leaving Carnival Cruise Lines. They are not going to stop having Guy's Burgers on the ship, even though apparently someone out there who creates content put a video out saying there was going to be no more Guy's Burgers. Not true. I think we mentioned it last week. There's a rumor going around that Carnival Cruise Lines is getting rid of their last 2 fantasy class ships. Not true. It's
the loyalty points.
Yes. There's the new Carnival loyalty program. I guess there's even a chart out there showing the new loyalty level, double diamond and stuff like that going around on the internet. Not true. Carnival has released 0 information on the new loyalty program. Says any day now. We may hear something about it this week, maybe next week. If they're any day now actually means any day now. I'd like to keep in mind that last year, they announced the new loyalty program. They said, at the end of the year, we're going to announce it. That came and went. Then it was supposed to be in the spring. That came and went. Now we're down to any day now. So don't actually know if it's going to be any day now, but we're waiting for Carnival's new loyalty program to see exactly what changes they are going to make. Who is it going to make happy and who's it going to piss off?
Yes.
I will say this much. There usually is also, last time Carnival, I guess, made the change, which was 10 plus years ago, they did put a grandfather clause in there for those that were just fixing to turn platinum diamond and things like that. So they didn't have to restart. There should also be a grandfather clause in there.
But we don't know that.
But yeah, correct. But that is pure speculation. Anybody that says they know is speculating, because Carnival has been tight-lipped and released nothing about it.
James said, now if you get a cabin up in the woods, yes, you can see bears, and absolutely don't leave food anywhere. Their sense of smell is unbelievable. Sheikah said, I am glad to hear the fantasy class is staying. JB Ranch is here. Welcome. Speaking of rumors, have any of y'all heard or read a lot Universal in talk with Galveston for their ship?
Okay, I did see a story, and again, I don't know how true it is. I did see that Universal Studios may be considering getting into the cruising business the way Carnival did. Not Carnival, I'm sorry, Disney did, to create a Universal themed cruise. And where they were going to sail from, to be honest with you, I would think that they would sail from Florida. If that rumor was even remotely true, it makes sense to connect it closer to their park. So Florida or California, way more than it would be Galveston logically. But whether or not that's even a path Universal is really going down, maybe something they just speculated, who knows? I have not seen a hard news release that says Universal Studios is now building a cruise ship.
Yeah. Carolyn's here. Hello, everyone. Ray says, you're just shooting holes in those rumors.
Well, here's the thing. And this really bugs me because, I do a lot of stuff on Carnival. I get a lot of information from Carnival and from John Heald because, that's proverbial, coming from the source. If he's putting out information, it's being put out by Carnival, it's factual information at the time. It's not a rumor. It's not a lie. It's not anything else. He is over on his page making videos that he puts out on Facebook. At this point in time, it's gotten so bad, he's saying, quit listening to people who create cruising content. Quit listening to the things they say. They're often wrong, this and that. And there's a lot of that out there. There really, really is. But that affects the channels that are not doing that. You can be, creating stuff with integrity and not spreading rumors and, guys, burgers is going away, all that kind of crap that they put out. But when they go and they lump, it's just cruise content creators suck and they tell lies. You get lumped in with them. And so, yeah, we do have to take an occasional opportunity to come on here and squash rumors and put that stuff down and make sure that the information getting put out is as factual as we possibly can make it. And if we don't know, we say we don't know. If we think it's a rumor, we say it's a rumor. Just like the Universal thing. I have seen no hard statement saying they are doing this.
Yeah. Cruising Chris is here. Welcome. I know nothing. My wife and kids remind me of that all the time. And he says, hey, cruise fans. James, hey, Cruising Chris. And I'm sure the wife and kids do remind you.
So, yeah, you've got to shoot holes in those rumors at every opportunity you can get because we don't want to get lumped in with those other folks.
Yeah.
Just absolutely do not want to get lumped in with those other people.
James says, yes, some of those rumors are really over the top.
Well, there was even one, and I'm not going to mention any names, but there, I did the video yesterday about the fight on the Carnival Sunrise. There was some chair throwing incidents and stuff. But if you actually go read the written versions of that story, there's one out there that says, these incidents is why Carnival Cruise Lines has changed their drink limit to 15 drinks per day. Except for the fact that their drink limit has always been 15 drinks for years and years and years has been the limit, alcoholic drinks, that those two aren't associated with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why even put that in there? That's wrong. Maybe it's a typo, maybe it's a mistake, but I also haven't seen a retraction to say, oops, our bad. Don't like that.
Sheikah said, I stopped watching videos from content creators that have clickbait. I don't have time for all that. Ray says, rumors. This is why I really listen to you.
Doug in the AM.
Doug in the AM and a couple. The rest are bait.
Yeah, now, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of content creators out there that talking about cruising that are on the up and they are straight. And if they make a mistake and if they put out some wrong information, they will come out on the very next video and be like, hey, I need to make a correction. I said this wrong. They at least put out content with integrity. They're not just looking for the click on my thing and watch my video mess. They're actual parts of the cruising community. They contribute to the cruising community. They just don't suck on it like a leech.
Yeah. Carolyn says, thank you at Texas Cruiser for the Galveston cruise port.
Yeah, Texas Cruiser is really good about giving us all of the latest and greatest updates coming out of Galveston. He posts them on his page. He shares them to our page. And he also has his own YouTube channel, Texas Cruiser. So if you like the content he's putting out, there are multiple places you can get that.
Cruising Chris said, like Sheikah said, it's clickbait.
Mm-hmm.
Ray said, you may be a day late, but honest.
Well, there are some I'm going to be a day late on because I'm going to verify and check some data before I just spew it out there. And I'll be honest, there's been a couple of times in the the 3.5 years we've been doing this, I jumped the gun. And I thought, I'm going to get ahead of everybody. I'm going to get the story out first. And then it turned out there was a problem with the story and I had to backtrack it. I'd rather wait, get it right the first time, and never have to backtrack it, or at least as little as possible.
Yeah. Nellie said, my goal is to overtake Rick in cruising.
Well, I mean, it's good to have goals.
It is. That is a really good goal. Nellie said, a day late is okay. Bob said, good luck with that, Nellie.
Yeah, I don't know. But at the same time, Nellie's been on a roll lately.
Yeah, he has.
I mean, been on a roll. Just, he has already had some cruises, just did some honeymoon cruises. He's got Mariner coming up. It's got Harmony coming up with us. He's on a roll.
Yeah.
So there's a very good chance he could catch him.
Nellie, one day our goal is going to be to catch up to you. James said, yes, those updates on Galveston from Rick are really nice, and I'm anxious to explore Galveston.
What? Thank you. Everybody appreciates a mysterious thumping in the middle of the video. Okay. But yeah, so we just wanted to put some squashing on some Carnival Cruise Line rumors out there and kind of keep that stuff from spreading any more than it's already going to spread. It's crazy enough out there that we don't need to put fuel on the fire. People come up with the craziest things all by themselves and then act surprised.
Nellie said, remember when all thought Icon was in Galveston and people just jumped and reported Icon Galveston? You waited and was correct.
In their defense, it did randomly pop up on the Galveston section down there. You could see Icon on there. I could see how they jumped to that conclusion. It did randomly appear on there. Then they said it was a glitch and it wasn't supposed, whatever the case may be. Yeah, I waited because I did have a sneaky that was something different.
Yeah.
Not to say we're never going to get an Icon, but we're not getting it this year or next year.
No. That's okay. We're getting a Disney soon.
He said, I don't care what anybody else is getting. We're getting Disney ship. Full-time Disney ship.
Yep.
Well, everybody has their favorite cruise line. It's very clear which one is yours.
Cruising Chris says, I have Galveston on my radar and maybe stay at the Texas Cruiser B&B. Not true about the B&B.
Well, that's okay. We'll spread that rumor. He's listening right now and can't respond because he's driving. So he's sitting in his car right now going, wait, what? I have a B&B. You do now.
Bob says, I trust Texas Cruiser. We will get an Icon someday.
Very, very possible.
Nellie said, although I saw Royal Caribbean blog and Matt all but stated Icon coming soon with Perfect Day Mexico. Carolyn said, haha, cruising Chris. I think we're all caught up.
It could be. As that it very well could be that we will see Icon as early as 2026, maybe late 2026. I don't think they've released all the way through 2026. Obviously, the current schedule doesn't call for it. Maybe in the next rounds, the next rotations. It's not impossible. It is absolutely not impossible.
Nellie said he is driving, so his silence is him accepting us staying in his house for Airbnb. That's Nellie. It's gonna pull over and
They did.
Thank you for the endorsement. New information. You are the first to hear of it. Gulf Copper in the port of Galveston has been purchased and will start building icebreaker ships and specialty ships. That's awesome.
It is. Seems a long way to, I guess, to build an icebreaker ship.
Yeah.
Maybe it's easier to build them where it's warm.
Yeah.
But I will say this much. It is good to see ship construction being done in the United States, even in Texas. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that stuff's been built and has been built overseas. And so it's really good to see if they are going to actually build ships in the United States again.
James said, yes, I will be in Galveston August 13th, so we'll be exploring, and I will seek out Rick. Cruising Chris says, I think an outside chance Galveston may get a Margaritaville, either there or New Orleans or Mobile.
Yes, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago when Margarita purchased that third cruise ship from Costa, the Fortuna, I believe it is. And that was my exact prediction, too. I think that they're going to come away from Florida, and I think Mobile. My particular prediction is Mobile first, Galveston second, New Orleans third. I think it's either going to be Mobile or Galveston's really where I'm leaning towards. Mobile, because Mobile has been pushing to get a second cruise line. Mobile is it's not a very big cruise port, so it's not going to be a very big ship, a fairly narrow channel. They've had a Fantasy class ship. Now they've had the Spirit class ship. So a Costa Fortuna, I believe, is very closest to a Destiny class cruise ship, which is one size above a Spirit, and I think would be perfect for Mobile without overloading their current infrastructure. But again, that's purely a guess too. They could be headed straight for Texas. Chica
said icebreaker ships. That is interesting. Nellie said, I watched a vlog on Mobile. Mobile water is just as nasty as Galveston.
Mm-hmm.
James said, I think Margaritaville would do very well in Galveston.
I think they're going to do very well wherever they go because they've been doing very well. They continue to gain in popularity as people realize that, hey, it's a cheap getaway for the weekend. It's absolutely inexpensive. And if you go into it the right mindset, he's laying upside down, all fog piles in the air, and he's making noise. It's going to be a great opportunity. I don't know. My gut feeling tells me it's going to be Mobile. But that's okay. I've driven to Mobile to get on the Carnival Ecstasy. I would drive to Mobile again. It's less than a day away.
Carolyn said, I've never been out of Mobile. How many cruise ships can they have?
Okay, so right now they have one, and they can't handle a whole lot more. They have a parking structure limitation. That's what limits Mobile. But the city has already said that they are aware of it. They want more cruise business. They want more cruise ship. They want that dollar. And so they already were doing plans and making plans to build and increase their parking capacity. And there's some space right in the area of the port. And then shortly after that, there was talk that a second cruise line was going to come to Mobile. Now, American Cruise Line did start sailing out of Mobile, which is the river cruise company here. But I think they're still looking at a second cruise ship because right now, Carnival's going to be sailing on a Mobile year round, I believe they said again. And they only have one ship there. So they increased that parking structure so they can have two ships out simultaneously. That's all Mobile needs. That's their limitation.
Ray said Judy and I did the J Buffett and it was done up good and we had a great time.
Mm-hmm. And most people say that, speaking of Margaritaville, we just happened to notice that there is a Margaritaville in Gatlinburg up in Tennessee. So we can at least walk by it. We won't go there because, we've been in Margaritaville before, but we can at least walk by it. Maybe we'll get the cruise vibe off of it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll hear the steel drums coming out of there. Little cheeseburger in paradise.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, close your eyes. It's next to a river. You'll hear water. I'll go down there and splash you. You think you're on a ship.
No, you won't. Listens is here. Hey guys, sorry my iPad some reason would not notify me. That's all right. You made it. Sheikah, I want to cruise from New Orleans. Nellie says, Sheikah, Haley and I will go to New Orleans for Mariner. That route will go to Cayman and Jamaica.
I'd like to sail out of New Orleans. Not so much to sail out of New Orleans, but I'd like to spend a couple of days in New Orleans prior.
Gotta go to
and of course to sail out of New Orleans. But I'm more interested actually in the city.
Mm-hmm. James said that'd be fun, Sheikah, but I'm thinking about the West Coast for some cruises in the future. Carolyn,
we are too. I still think if we do a West Coast cruise, we should do Virgin.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should do Virgin voyages on the West Coast. I'm gonna go adults only. You're right here.
Carolyn at Sheikah, we are cruising back to back out of New Orleans this fall, taking the Spirit from Seattle to New Orleans, and then sailing the Valor and Liberty out of New Orleans for the month.
Oh, the Valor just came out of dry dock.
Mm-hmm. Cruising Chris says Sheikah, New Orleans will have NCL Prima in 2027. I am booked March 2027. Carolyn says, I love cruising out of New Orleans. The smell of the Mississippi River.
Well, it's got to be better than the smell coming out of Galveston. Galveston water.
Desiree's here. Good evening, guys. I took a nap. Nellie said, Mr. Moss sails more than me. Glisten said, did Global Dream discontinue because on YouTube I barely see it?
I'm pretty sure Global went out of business because if I'm not mistaken, that's where Disney purchased that half-completed cruise ship was from Global Dream. I think. If I've got my memory on right, which not every day I do, I think Global went completely out of business. They went belly up with their cruise ship halfway completed, and that's where the Disney Adventure came from because it is actually a pre-built.
Desiree says, hi, Puppy.
He's had a traumatic day. He had to go to the groomers today.
Sheikah said, oh, what? Virgin? I priced it, and it was pricey. Cruising Chris says, brand new ship from Virgin on the West Coast, too. That is a huge move by Virgin Voyages. Carolyn said, oh, doggy love.
I don't know. I know Virgin can be a little on the higher side. But I just think it would be a really good adventure if we're going to go to the West Coast for the first time, cruise from the West Coast for the first time, ports we've never been to for the first time. We should go on a cruise line we've never been on for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really interested in doing some Virgin voyages. I heard they got some snacks. I heard the food on that ship is top notch.
Nellie said, off subject, my friend went on Jubilee, won 2 grand jackpots, $20K.
Good God Almighty.
That's enough to, we could go on a couple cruises with that.
That's enough to fund your an entire cruising season.
Yep. Glisten says, so that means Disney Adventure will replace Global Dream.
No, I think that I'm trying to remember. I could have the company wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Global had a third cruise ship under construction when they went bankrupt. And Disney purchased that ship that was about 60% completed and turned it into the Disney Adventure. I think that whole Global Dream, I think that company is gone. So she goes,
so one needs to put the brakes on Nelly. I want to be like him when I grow up.
Yeah, me too.
Cruising Chris says, I was late to life to discover Cruising Nelly, so I am making up for lost time. Nelly says, Haley and I will end up going to LA and do the Princess Wine Country. Sheikah says, that makes sense, Chris. Carolyn says, congrats to your friend at Nelly. I stopped drinking and gambling, love free coffee and discounted cruises.
I'm a fan of discounted cruises. Tiffany's a fan of coffee.
Yes. Ray said, Chris, are you getting a tat on Virgin?
Yeah, I'm going to get a big high seas cruising right across my neck, go outside of my face. No, I'm not getting any.
Didn't they quit doing the tattoos on Virgin? No? That just doesn't make sense because you can't get it wet.
You know what? It's on their ship, so it's still popular. People obviously do it. Remember, it's a cruise line. It's a business. If they weren't getting some type of success out of it, they'd throw it off the ship.
Yeah.
It would get done and removed at the next dry dock, and it'd get replaced with something else.
And can you imagine you're getting a tattoo
on
and their ship is rocking.
You got rough seas. Your name is not. I'm sure they're experienced.
I'm sure they are.
But I'm not a fan of tattoos. It's just my personal choice. Nothing against anybody that has them. I'm not one of those people that goes, oh my God, that crew member has a tattoo. My food's now going to taste like crap. Give me a new crew member. No, I'm not that guy.
Well, no, and all the kids have tattoos. And
yeah. I'm just not a personal fan of needles. So there's no need to have one repeatedly stab me over and over again. Not my personal choice. Plus, I would never get one on the cruise ship simply because I like to get in the ocean. Yeah. You get it, unless you got it like on the last day or something like that. I'd be like, but no, I can't go in the ocean.
Yeah, because they tell you when you get those tats,
can't get them wet.
You can't get them. You can't submerge them. You can't.
Yeah, I've got a thing for swimming and showering, and
well, you can still shower. You just can't be in there super long.
Oh.
Cruising Chris said Virgin may be a little higher, but they have more included than the others. Wi-Fi and gratuities included.
That's true too. That's absolutely true. So it kind of offsets it. And I've looked at them. They're not a whole lot worse than, say, if you want to go on Icon of the Seas, Star of the Seas, any of these brand new ones, you can still sell on Virgin, usually for less. Does come with the Wi-Fi, does come with the gratuities, and the food is supposed to be primo.
Glistens has a question. Is it true that Carnival Spirit doesn't have a screen?
They just added a screen to something. Was it the Carnival Spirit? For the longest time, the Spirit class ship did not, and the Fantasy class ships did not, because they are too small to support it. They're very small ships in comparison to what you have now, and they didn't. But I thought they just added a screen for the first time. Was it to the Carnival Pride, I believe? So they may have figured something out, or it's just simply smaller.
Glisten said, when I played a game, the ship didn't have a screen.
Yeah, there are some of the older, smaller ships out there cruising that don't have the big screen.
Sheikah said, thank you. Desiree said, I dislike tattoos too. Glisten says, tattoos is too aggressive for me.
I just don't want to get stabbed repeatedly over and over with a needle. Mine has less to do with the tattoo than it does with the stab me over and over thing.
Carolyn said, thanks, Chris. It will be amazing to see Valor's facelift.
Yeah, they should be releasing some stuff on it. I'm sure there'll be some stuff over on Carnival. If I see it, I'll share it out there for everybody to see. But yeah, Carnival just came out of dry dock. So she should be looking fresh and pretty.
Cruising Chris said you scheduled a tattoo for the last day of the cruise. Carolyn said AI Google says yes to the Spirit having a screen. Who knew? Or who knows?
Yeah, I want to say that because the Spirit went into dry dock this year, the Pride went into dry dock. I think they finally figured out how to add it. I haven't actually seen a picture of it. I'm going to just assume that it's smaller than you would see on, the Jubilee and ships like that.
Texas Cruiser said Disney Treasure was the former Global Dream that was under construction. Not
Negative, Ghost Rider. That is the Disney Adventure. Disney Adventure is slated for Japan only. The Disney Treasure is a Disney Wish class ship. One of 3. Disney Wish, Disney Treasure, Disney Destiny.
I don't know. Clifton says, do you guys know a mascot for Royal or Princess Cruise named Stanley Bear? I met him back in 2019 in his cool outfit. Who has the bear?
That's Princess.
Princess.
Remember we saw Stanley the Bear?
Yeah, we were trying to win a Stanley the Bear.
You've seen Stanley the Bear. You've seen Carnival really did. I mean, Carnival has Thing 1, Thing 2, Cat in the Hat, and the Elephant. You've seen all of those. Though I really think they should bring back Fun Ship Freddy.
Yes.
I think Fun Ship Freddy should come back.
Where are we at? Glisten says, I support you, James. Sheikah said, I want to know if I'm going to be diamond under the new VIFP.
Hopefully we'll know here in a couple of days. Hopefully John Hill is accurate, and he says it will be in here in just a couple of days.
Nellie says, Rick, it is the Adventure. Just looked at Google. Singapore for Disney Adventure.
Yeah, because they're going to use it in conjunction with Disney Tokyo. For a land sea cruise package over there. That ship's built strictly for the Asian market.
Yeah. Kay Staffen just loves cruising. Welcome. Hi all. Just dropped in. Leaving 17 days on Ruby.
Woohoo!
Oh, we've been on Ruby.
You've been on Ruby.
Ruby's
like
nice.
Ruby.
Very nice ship. Nellie says, have fun. Absolutely have fun. Ray said on Virgin, watch the balcony and the swing bed. Tough in, harder getting out. And after a few Black Russians.
Yeah, remember, Virgin's got the hammocks.
Swings, yeah.
They got the hammocks out.
That would be hard to get in and out of without the Black Russians.
The thing with the hammock, if the weather was just right, like, remember how it was when we went to Alaska? Not hot, but not super cold. I could be sleeping out in that hammock.
You wouldn't sleep though. You'd be wanting to watch the whales.
You can't see them at night.
This is true.
They don't have little flashlights going on right here.
Texas Cruiser says, yeah, you're right. Typing too fast. I had Treasure on my mind as a possible future Galveston ship.
Could be. Disney has not specified which larger cruise ship is coming to Galveston. All they've said is a larger cruise ship is coming full time.
James says, Ruby, a good looking ship. She absolutely is.
So, and believe me, when it comes to Disney ships, Tiffany does not let me slack. She wants to know where they are, who they are, what they're doing, and how fast is she getting one.
Listen, said Nellie, would you really travel all the way to Singapore to get on a Disney Adventure when it launches? I would.
Yeah,
because I want to go to.
Well, absolutely. If it was something that was really within the cards, absolutely. First of all, Singapore, we haven't been there. A new ship, sailing in the Asian market. Heck yeah, if I could swing that, we would be all over that.
Oh yeah.
Just simply for the adventure you would have.
Yes. Kay Staffen said, hey, 29 people watching and only 18 likes. Smash that button. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Nellie said, yes, I would, but I would do some back-to-backs.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I want to take a ride over, not on an airplane, do some stuff, then come back. And of course, if we were all the way over there, Tiffany's gonna be like, Disney is right
Tokyo.
there, huh?
We have to go to Disney Tokyo.
Yeah. So it would have to be a complete adventure.
Yes. Yes. Because I want to go to Disney Tokyo.
I know you do want to go Disney Tokyo.
Yes. Carolyn said, enjoy K-Staff, and where are you going? Glisten said, that's a smart way. Glisten said, I also support you, K-Staffin, but now more. Carolyn, love Ruby. We're going to Alaska. This will be number 19 on her.
Ooh, Ruby to Alaska.
That's when we were on what? No.
No, you went on Discovery to Alaska. You went on Ruby in the Caribbean.
Yes.
That's when Ruby was sailing out of Galveston.
Yeah. That's the one I got sick on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not from the ship, though.
No, not from the ship. Not from the ship at all. Sheikah said, I would love to sail that part of the world, but my husband won't do it.
Well, that kind of sucks. I want to do it just because I've never sailed in that part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest. If I had all the time and no responsibilities, and of course could afford it, I would like to take one of those. I'd take one of those world cruises.
Mm-hmm.
That just goes everywhere in one fell swoop.
Yep. Carolyn says, sweet K-Staff, and you are living my dreams.
Well, Alaska's a great cruise no matter what.
Yeah, I had a family member that just got off a ship, I think Saturday or Sunday from Alaska. Some awesome pictures she sent.
I haven't seen these pictures.
They're on Facebook.
Oh, I have not seen these pictures.
They're on Facebook.
Well.
Carolyn said that she could come with us when we go. I would have to sell my house first. James said, I love Alaska. Ready to do another cruise to Alaska.
Me too.
Yes.
Me too. That is still one of the absolute best itineraries we've done so far was Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
I would absolutely jump on the chance to do that again.
Sheikah said, no world cruise for me. Too many sea days in a row.
I would just give me nap time in between ports.
Yes. Nellie said, Star Princess, July 26th, Alaska.
Ooh. We do Alaska again. We want to do it in September, though. September is our Alaska month next time. Because that, according to what they told us when we were up there last time, that's when you get the most animals, the most chances of, oddly enough, seeing bears. And salmon, that's when the salmon spawn.
Mm-hmm. Glisten says, everyone loved for my parents. My mom is 76 and my dad is 82, and it's close to being their anniversary. So to get started, I will take them both to dinner. That sounds amazing. How long have they been together?
And of course, tell them happy anniversary.
Yes, absolutely. Sheikah said, I know the feeling. Carolyn, after my house sells, then world cruising. Oh, wait, I'm dreaming again.
Look, I've honestly considered it multiple times. I'm like, sell the house. Could we really just drive from cruise port to cruise port, and go cruising and make videos and just not stop? I don't think Tiffany likes that idea.
Maybe when I retire. Glisten says, for almost 27 years. Nellie said, I wanted to do a transatlantic, but they are longer and I have to work. Shucks. That's when you need one of those jobs where you can work from home kind of thing. I can't do that.
I mean, world cruises, yeah. I mean, they're going to have a lot of sea days. You're gone for 9 months. But a lot of those are every continent, 53, plus port stops. I'd like to do it once in my life, just to do it.
Yeah. Carolyn said, great time to go to Alaska. James said, world cruises, too many days for me. Cruising Chris said, I hear Alaska is beautiful, but I don't like the cold. After living in Indiana, I like the warm weather locations, but my wife wants Alaska, so we are going next year. Happy wife, happy life.
Go in the middle of summer. Don't go in May. Don't go in September. Go a little more in the center, and the temperature is not cold and
Not blazing.
Not blazing hot. But yeah, hit it right in the middle. I think you'll both be happy. We went in May and it was decently chilly, 55 degrees, but we love that. So going in September, and we saw snow on the mountains, and for us that was a blast. I'm hoping we see similar stuff in September. But yeah, I think if you go right in the middle, it'll probably be more comfortable for both of you.
Yeah. Bob says, amen, Cruising Chris. Carolyn at James, if my laundry is free, sign me up for the world cruise. James.
Yeah, just make sure you get a loyalty level on a cruise line that gives you free laundry.
Yes.
That's a good point.
James said, yes, Nelly. Work get in the way for me too. Alien said, just dropping in to say a quick hello. I hope everyone's having a great week. Well, welcome, Alien. And yes, so far, so good.
Yeah, so far, so good. I agree with that.
Carolyn at Cruising Chris, yes, go in the summer. Chris is right. It is freezing in April and May. Cruising Chris said, Nelly, you are on a week or two before me on Star, correct? We are toward the end of July. And Nelly said, hey, Alien. Alien changed his name again.
Thank you, Alien. We really appreciate that. Tiffany's lost, but I see where we're at.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, we really appreciate that. It is because of you guys that we ever got to that number.
Nelly said, yes, July 12th is our Star. Ray said, I'm retired and it's not all it's cracked up to be. Have to keep planning cruises.
Sounds rough.
Alien said, yeah, I'm Alien again instead of Kevin. James, Carolyn, I think you would be set because I believe on most world cruises, laundry is free. I don't know. I've never been on a world
cruise. Just think how much you would like a world cruise. No laundry, someone else does it.
Don't even start with that.
No dishes. Somebody else will do all of the dishes for like almost a year. They even come in and make the bed, clean the room.
Texas Cruiser says, I appreciate everyone's support and endorsement. Yes, even you, Nelly. Cruising Chris, Nelly, we will pass each other at the port. We are on the 19th. Carolyn at James, does anyone know a dependable house sitter?
We have one, but that's because he's one of the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have one that he enjoys having the house completely. He likes to come stay because he gets the house to himself, watch whatever he wants, play on the internet, raid the fridge, and sleep as much as he wants. And the dogs love him. And so when they just get up there and go to sleep with him, I think he likes house sitting for us.
Yes.
It's very peaceful for him.
He's always asking, okay, next time, when?
Yeah.
When's the next time? So Nelly says 2026, I will be on the 2 stars, Star of the Seas in February, along with Disney World, and Star Princess in July.
Shh, don't say Disney World. Don't say Disney World. You're piquing someone's interest over here. What? People are going to Disney World?
Yeah. I love it.
She will either try to go with you or place a popcorn bucket order. One of the two.
James said, yes, Rick, love the news on Galveston. Carolyn said, thank you, Rick, for the updates.
Yes, thank you, Rick, for sharing those. It's nice. It's great actually having a source in Galveston that gets all this stuff firsthand.
Absolutely.
So can't ever complain about that.
No.
You know, I admittedly get some of my Galveston news from Rick as well. He gets it first.
Yeah. Ugh. Getting the yawns.
Huh?
I'm getting the yawns.
See, we could always just move to Galveston. I could spend every day simply out there watching cruise ships come and go.
That would require you actually selling the house.
Okay. I will go. You wait here. I'll be right back. Okay.
Nellie said Rick needs to get us the news of the new lines coming.
They're kind of keeping that up.
Or if Princess is going to come back.
Good one, too.
Texas Cruiser says, Tiffany, you will absolutely love Harmony. I am looking forward to it.
Yeah. I said, so far, Galveston's been a little tight-lipped. They said it has to do with NDRs, though. As to what other two cruise lines are interested in expanding their roles or bringing their roles into Galveston. So it may be a hot minute until those contracts are hammered out before that information leaks out, I think. But it'll be coming. Is Princess coming back? That one is honestly up in the air. That's kind of in a debating subject.
Cheryl wants to know, when's the next food video?
Yeah, do tell us. When is the next food video?
Probably next Wednesday. The dog's purring. I'll probably do it Wednesday.
So it'll have to be out following Sunday.
Yeah. So another week and a half.
Okay. So you're going to have one in a week and a half. Okay. You guys heard it here. Week and a half. Hold her to it.
Yeah. Cruising Chris says, so don't say anything about going to Disney World before I board Utopia in June. Is that correct?
Yes. No, don't say anything about Disney World. Tiffany would be 100% happy if I said, if I woke up tomorrow and said, you know what? We're done with cruising. We're not going to cruise anymore. Instead, we're going to make videos about Disney World. So we're going to have to go a lot. How upset would you be over that?
I would not be upset at all.
Exactly. She one time tried to convince me to move to Florida so she could go she was going to become her own Disney content creator.
Yes.
She doesn't like the camera, filming, or being on video, but she was going to Disney World to be a content creator. I really think she was just going to go every day and go, I forgot to turn the camera on.
Well, it kind of kills a lot of birds with one stone. So you're closer to the cruise port. You could just drive over and watch the ships. We're closer to the grandbabies.
Get on the ships.
That too. You go get on your ship. I'll go to Disney. Yeah. So Nellie said, Chris M, that's why Royal does what they do with 3 and 4 and sailings, because they know people go to Disney World. Texas Cruiser said, watch for the expansion of the Royal Terminal to be able to handle 2 ships at a time and possibly celebrity home porting here.
I think that one right there, or let me rephrase. Maybe it's just my hope and my dream and my desire. I personally think our next one to come in after MSC will be celebrity. That is where I've got, if I was a betting man, which don't bet on the same thing I do, I lose in the casino every single time. But if I was a betting man, my money's on celebrity. My money is on Royal Caribbean expanding and bringing in celebrity cruise lines. Maybe not an XL class ship, maybe, or they've got the Beyond in Alaska. Maybe the Beyond Summers in Galveston in a year or two.
Yeah. Cruising Chris says, Nellie, very true. Bob says, that would be awesome, Rick. Sheikah said, my husband tells everyone he can't get anything because we are always cruising. He wants to stop and go RVing. So you're land cruising.
I get the RVing thing. I've looked at it and suggested we get a small one, but of course that's the drive to cruise port and not have to stay in a hotel. I had this crazy plan where we would start in Galveston and go all the way up the East Coast and then go over and come all the way back down the West Coast, hitting every cruise port along the way.
Cruising Chris says, I think there is a lot of possibility for Galveston to get celebrity.
Well, Royal Caribbean has hinted at it before. They have said that, hey, now that they have a dedicated terminal, it's not beyond, impossible that celebrity may come there. Even if we get a older, smaller celebrity ship to start off with for them to test the waters, that'd still be okay. Because it's still an opportunity to jump on and get a taste of celebrity then Celebrity can be like, wow, look at the response we're getting in Galveston. Let's send them a,
Another ship.
No, I just completely forgot the class of ship. But the Beyond, the Apex, a ship like that.
Bob says, sorry, Sheikah, you don't need that negativity. Laugh out loud. Carolyn says that Sheikah, tell your husband that you will get the RV if he cooks and does the laundry while on the road. Wink, wink. Yeah, that would mean we're not getting one.
You can get them with washers in them now.
But you would have to use the washer, not me. And you would have to do the
Edge class. There we go.
Not
Thank
me.
you. I don't know why my brain went and I could not remember the name of that class of that ship. Edge class.
The Raconta. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Sup, C and Tiff got here late. What are your thoughts on the possible update of the VIFP program?
Okay. So we were actually talking about that earlier. Everything I think and say is pure speculation, 100%, nothing based on fact or any other evidence until Carnival releases the information. I'm going to throw that little disclaimer in there. I think they're going to add another tier, maybe two, one in the middle and then one more at the top. But that's just a prediction. They are very diamond heavy. They are very platinum heavy, which is why when they go on Journeys cruises or anything like that, a lot of the perks are priority embarkation, priority disembarkation, and all that stuff goes away. I think they've got to stretch and spread out that loyalty program. Could that mean some people lose some? I don't know. That's why they normally throw a grandfather clause in there. But I'm 100% honest. Carnival could go a completely different direction than any of us are thinking. They could basically be starting from scratch with a whole new idea. Maybe that's why it's taken them so long to put everything out. Honestly, it's speculation, and I'm purely guessing at this point. But I think they've got to break up Diamond and Platinum for sure. That way they'll feel more special again.
Yeah. Sheikah says, I do not like camping. We do it, but I am not a happy camper.
I don't like camping anymore either after the military. I've had enough. Sleep on the ground, sleep in a tent. Yeah, now I'm sleep in the bed, sleep in the air conditioning. So if we got one of them RVs, it would have a bed and a refrigerator and a bathroom and AC.
Yeah. Nellie said Excel comes later this year. They will have 5 Edge now.
Which we could get, which means that there's a possibility we definitely could get one of those. Mm-hmm. I really lean towards that one of those two companies looking to expand their footprint in Galveston is the Royal Caribbean Group. Does that mean we're going to get 2 Royal Caribbean ships? Does it mean that we're going to get a Celebrity ship? We'll see. I lean towards we're going to get a Celebrity, though. I think Royal will grab a hold of that while they have the opportunity. Especially with Carnival Corporation pulling Princess. Not knowing if Princess is coming back. Disney's already jumped on it and said, we'll come full time. I think Royal Caribbean's going to jump on it too. Mm-hmm. Especially with MSC coming in and Norwegian's going to be there full time. Royal Caribbean does not want to give up that money.
Texas Cruiser said Celebrity is building new Edge class ships. And Carolyn said, exactly right, Chris.
So yeah, I there's so much potential and future going on in Galveston right now that every year it's something new and exciting is coming. Okay, we blacked out there for a second. We seem to be fine. But yeah, they talk about the 5th possibility of a cruise terminal in Galveston already. And you think about it, like Fort Lauderdale, I think they said is already built out to the maximum. No more. Miami's pretty stacked. I know Port Canaveral was talking about putting in a new terminal, but a lot of that got shot down in favor of non-cruising berthing and stuff like that. So cruise lines are going to be looking for deep water ports that they can expand, and in places that want the expansion. There's a lot of great ports out there, but if you look at your Jacksonville, there's a bridge. Mobile, not a whole lot of expansion room right at the moment. I don't really know about New Orleans, but Galveston's got room to expand. Galveston's got space. They got a deep water channel. I mean, even those big ships, they can turn around inside the channel there in Galveston. You know, the Oasis class ships can spin in the channel in order to back in and depart. So lots of possibility there that we could get more ships and more terminals. I think Galveston will continue to become a big player, and is going to be eventually going to be along the lines of Port Canaveral and Miami.
Yeah. Cruising Chris says MSC is going to be a real player in the American cruise market. They are creeping up and fighting hard.
Absolutely. They just announced last week that they intend to build their new cruise ship and make it the largest cruise ship in the world at 265,000 tons, which is about 15,000 tons more than Royal Caribbean's largest cruise ship. So, yeah, MSC's ready to duke it out.
Nellie says, I want to try MSC, but Haley won't allow me to do Yacht Club. I don't blame her. We looked at the price.
Yeah, we did look at the price for Yacht Club.
Yeah.
We're going to have to go with Haley on that
one. Bob said, I want to see a small royal ship back in Galveston doing the longer cruises.
He probably will. Wouldn't surprise me. They had some really good itineraries going out of Galveston on Royal Caribbean, and yeah, it was on some of the smaller ships. And I'm sure they will. Don't know when, but
don't what? I don't know.
I don't either.
Sheikah said Hatch Club is better than Haven on NCO. Thinking that's Yacht Club. I don't know. Nellie, don't agree with Haley. She said yeah and flicked me off. That's because she knows she can use that money to go to Disney.
Well, you know, with Disney coming full time to Galveston, what you would save by not staying in the Yacht Club could be put towards a Disney cruise on the new, larger Disney ship coming to Galveston.
Haley's thinking ahead.
Just throwing that out there.
Oh, Sheikah said yes, Yacht Club.
Now, I did look at stuff for the Yacht Club in, if it was one of those like World Cruises money no option type situations, yeah, I'd jump on that Yacht Club. If MSC wants to call me up and go, Chris, we love you. Come sail on our ship. Stay in the Yacht Club. We want to show you how awesome it is. That would be okay. MSC, hint, hint. November, going to be there. Call me up. My number can be found in the links below. Anyway, you never know. Remember, we talked smack about Princess one time when they called me, remember?
Yeah, they did.
I had a hotel director from Princess call me once.
Yes.
So, MSC, come on.
Cruising Chris says, I believe the MSC World Atlantic will sail out of Port Canaveral. I'm not a big fan of the bigger ships for Carnival, but with saying that, your thoughts on the Ace class coming?
I am a firm believer that bigger is not always better. It's not always worse, but it's not always better. We'll have to see how it is when it comes out. It's really going to come out. Are they going to get the deck plan right? Are they going to get the layout right? Are they going to get the flow right? Because I've been on an Oasis class ship for Royal Caribbean. Big ship, giant ship, lots and lots of people. I felt less crowded on an Oasis class ship than I have on, say, like the Carnival Breeze. Carnival Breeze, mid-sized ship, felt like cattle packed in sometimes. You go on an Oasis class ship, has a few thousand more people, didn't feel that. felt like I had more personal space. I ran into people less often. I think if Carnival can create that same atmosphere, that come up with the same things that work, could be successful. Where I think the biggest problem is the number of cruise ports out there that are slowly going to, whoa, too many cruisers are showing up every day. Now we need no taxes. Now we need restrictions. Now we need this. The smart company right now is Royal Caribbean, and their stated intent to build the Discovery class, a smaller class of cruise ship, to go places that larger cruise ships can't go. I think some of the cruise lines should be looking at that, because that seems to be where the wind is blowing for cruise ports.
And I think the bigger cruise ships, eventually, the only place they're going to be able to go are their own private islands.
They're facing a lot of that now. These big cruise ships, you can't go to any tender ports. So can't do those. That begins to limit where you can go. There's some places that don't want you. That limits where you can go. These big cruise ships, Oasis and above, haven't been able to go to Puerto Rico for a year because MSC ran over the big dock and created damage there, and they're just now getting that fixed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. James said, I would try the yacht club with the reviews. It sounds very nice. Oh, it sounds wonderful. Price tag is not. Texas Cruiser said, my hope is Liberty will go to an itinerary of Perfect Day Mexico, Cayman, and Jamaica. I think she is the right size ship for that route. Nellie said, Royal needs to build ships like Edge class. Edge was affordable and very nice. Modern, only 3,200 people. Bob says, I know we are going to Jamaica and Cayman in February on Mariner. Oh, I want to go back to Cayman and actually get it right.
Cayman is awesome.
It is. Sheikah, Carnival needs to recreate the fantasy class, just a little bigger and more balconies. The fantasy class is that's the best floor plan.
100% agree with that statement. Love the fantasy class ship. Carnival got it right the first time. Fantasy class was their first true builds.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That was their first true built class cruise ship built specifically for them. And they got it right. They honestly did. Yeah, more balconies. Obviously, that ship was built before a time of balconies were the thing. But you know, they're playing it against future and money and profits than they are honestly listening to their cruisers. They have a ton of cruisers. If you go over and read Carnival stuff, constant comments about build smaller ships, stop building monster ships, stop building. There is a market for these people to build smaller cruise ships. Mm-hmm. There are ports out there that want smaller cruise ships. The companies just, it's all about the dollar.
Cruising Chris said Royal does a great job with crowd flow on their ships.
They really, really do. They're generally the ones that feel the least crowded to me. Mm-hmm. And on their Oasis class ships, so Tiffany hasn't been yet. They did a really, really good job of it. They feel nice and spaced out. You don't feel like you're constantly pushing, shoving, standing in line, things like that.
Sheikah said that is why they have been building private islands to make up for the ports they can't visit.
Mm-hmm. Beach clubs and places they know they can go. Purchasing entire cruise ports.
Texas Cruiser said exactly, Bob. They have done that itinerary. Texas also said Royal is designing a new smaller ship, probably in the 3,000 to 3,500 passenger size.
Discovery class.
Yeah. Nellie said, but knowing Royal, they will make the price tag expensive.
That's a possibility. Unfortunately, you cannot get as many people onto a smaller cruise ship as you can into a larger cruise ship. But I don't know. Of course, at the same time, right now, if you're talking about operating costs of, let's say, a fantasy class cruise ship, if you're talking the operating cost of Royal Caribbean's Grandeur of the Seas, their oldest and smallest cruise ship, those ships obviously cost a lot more to operate. They're not efficient. They don't have newer, engines and all that kind of good stuff on it. If they were to build one with the modern stuff on it, liquid natural gas, LNG, all that kind of good stuff on it. The operating costs should, in theory, go down.
Yeah.
Which means they shouldn't necessarily have to, but they wouldn't make as much money per sailing because they don't have as many passengers per sailing.
Chica said when we were in Puerto Vallarta in April, we got to see how crowded the city got when the ships were there.
Mm-hmm.
That they got. Really
and the cities are, plenty of cities out there are getting sick and tired of it. Alaskan cruise ports are getting sick and tired of it.
Texas Cruiser says, show a little faith, Nelly. Laugh out loud. I am sure they will be innovative.
Well, obviously a smaller cruise ship wouldn't have, massive water parks, 14 slides and racetracks and go-karts and roller coasters and stuff on it. I'd still go on the ship because I'm okay without that stuff.
Yeah, I'm not there for all of that.
It's fun to try once.
Some of it.
But, we've been on Grander in the Seas, didn't miss it. We've been on, Fantasy Class, didn't miss it. Just didn't miss it. So,
yep.
But I think there's a lot of possibilities. I think cruising is going to continue to move. It's going to continue to change. Cruise lines are going to continue to build bigger ships. MSC is building a bigger ship. Royal Caribbean already builds the biggest ship. Carnival's building bigger ships. Norwegian has placed an order for bigger ships.
Mm-hmm.
That's the trend right now.
Sheikah said, sorry, Texas Cruiser. I agree with Nelly. Nelly says, oh, Sheikah, welcome to my side. Feels great. Glistens says, does Carnival I can't say that. Benzia.
Remind you of the Concordia?
Cruise, whatever it was called.
That's because they are same class of ship.
Yes. Cruising Chris says, look at what Royal is doing. They are taking a lot of their larger ships and moving to 3 and 4 day sailings, more money and more perfect day visits. They are marketing to a younger cruising demographic.
Yep, they are grabbing what they're hoping to be lifetime cruisers now. From a business standpoint, it makes sense. Your longtime cruisers hate it. They don't like it. They don't want to do that. They want what they've had, 7, 8, 9 day cruises, take me to new places. They don't care about how many water slides and all that other kind of stuff are on their ship. But the cruise line's looking at that older demographic, hate to say it, versus what they want to eventually become their older demographic. Mm-hmm. From a business standpoint, it makes total perfect sense.
Sheikah says, but there are a lot of people that don't care about that. They should have ships for families and ships for people that don't want floating water parks.
I agree. And that's why they're trying to keep some of their ships around. But the average lifespan of a cruise ship is 30 years. Mm-hmm. So if they build a cruise ship right now, in 30 years when that cruise ship is sailing or coming to the end of its life, are they going to get 30 years of it being fully packed and booked out because there's enough people that don't want that stuff as these new cruisers move along in there? You know what I mean? I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying I get it.
Glisten says, but now Vinzia is the first because Concordian incident, right?
Yeah, but the reason you think those two look alike is because they're sister ships.
Sheikah at Nelly, this is your week. James, I absolutely agree, Sheikah.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. And the cruise lines are going to keep them around and as long as they can. But at some point, we all know that Carnival's fantasy class ships are going to wear out.
Yes.
Are they going to do like we saw them do for Royal Princess, Regal Princess? Are they going to cut a hole aside and put some new engines in there? Maybe. Or are they going to scrap them like they did all their other fantasy class ships? Not anytime soon. Let's not start that rumor back up.
Please not.
But you guys never ever know.
Bob said those 3 and 4 day sailings may backfire. Too much of a drunk fest as Carnival is finding out lately.
Yeah. Which will drive away your people that want quiet cruises, but will it drive away revenue?
Yeah.
I hate to say it. At the end of the day, it's really all going to come down to their revenue. If they're going to make money doing it, they're going to keep right on doing it. Carnival knows that there's issues on their ships. All cruise lines have it, but Carnival's is really public. Carnival knows that their 3 and 4 day cruises are party cruises. But have you seen the videos where the Lido deck is just literally shoulder to shoulder with people? These things are booking out at 100+% capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So Carnival's like, yeah, a couple people fight, we ban them. We put a 15 drink limit on it. These people got too drunk. We're going to ban them. But every sailing for the rest of the year is booked at 100%. So what are we going to do at the end of the day? We're going to do a whole bunch of this.
Yep.
We don't see nothing because they're making their profits.
Nellie said that Freedom of the Seas 4-night was definitely a booze cruise.
Mm-hmm. And them short weekend ones are. They always have been. It doesn't really matter what cruise line it is. They are essentially quick weekend drinking cruises.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the nature of the beast. You've got 3 days, 4 days for your vacation for the year. You're going to do as much as you possibly can in those 4 days. And so if you like to drink, boy, you're going to drink in those 4 days because you can't do it like that the rest of the year. You're going to go and go and go. You're going to soak up too much sun. You're going to be tired. You're going to be wore out. And then you're going to, do all the things that go along with it. You're going to drink those drinks and they're going to hit you 3 times harder than they do maybe on land.
Yeah. Nellie says, well, I have to go. Have a great night and week, family. We have been on here an hour and a half.
Yes, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up too. Like Tiffany said, we've been on here an hour and a half. Don't worry. Next year, we're going to go with the High Seas Cruising Telethon. 24 hours straight.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
Because you can only run a live video for 24 hours before it cuts off. It's going to be like the Jerry Lewis Telethon. It's going to be the High Seas Cruising Telethon. We'll have guests. When we have guests on, we'll take naps.
He's joking, guys. We are not doing that.
High Seas Cruising Telethon next year. Yes.
Dave says good night, Nellie. Have a good night. Cruising Chris says night cruise, fam.
All right. But thank you, everybody, for being here. We really, really appreciate it. You guys make our Wednesdays the absolute best day of the week. Love coming on here and talking to everybody. And I've lost the mouse. Oh, my God. I've completely lost the mouse.
It's right there.
Oh, there it is. I think it jumped over to the other screen.
Okay.
Yes, we will absolutely be back next week as well. Of course, we've got 2 more shows this month, I think, before we head out. So, but yeah, we'll be back next Wednesday. Thank you guys for being here. And of course, like always,
we'll see you out on the high seas.
Good night, everybody.